Hey bookworms, welcome in. Today's video is going to be a little different. I meant to make a reel, but it was very, very long, like 20 something minutes. So instead, you're going to get a little video. So in today's video, I am cleaning / reorganizing and rearranging the books at the nursing home that I work at. I have a little side gig that I work at a little nursing home, and there are books, and I've just taken it upon myself to become the nursing home librarian. I had so much energy the other night. I drank like 2 Red Bulls and a coffee, so I just took like 2 hours and did all this. So here I am, taking the books off of the shelf, going through them, trying to organize them by genre, cleaning them because they were disgusting. These books are old and crusty dusty. There's me removing a hair out of one of them. Several of them had hairs. That book has yellow ass pages. These books have sticky things all over them. It's disgusting. Yeah, gross. So here I am cleaning them all and organizing them. I'm also going through and looking for books that like have pages missing or that need fixed, or books that are just too far gone and are falling apart. Thanks to the laser librarian, I know how to fix books now, so I'm excited to be finding those. A lot of these books are old romances, old cowboy books, so I've never heard of half of them. So started off by genre, and then little bookmark. Started off organizing by genre, and then I quickly started organizing by like, some books had the covers that look the same or were published by the same company, so that's what I started going with because I had no clue. Again, yellow pages. Pages missing. My book repair pile's getting big. That one, the first page was stuck to the cover and pages were just falling out. Someone used a silverware paper holder from lunch as a bookmark in that one. This is where I got really confused and I started going by publisher and genre, like other rather than genre. Here's some books I donated, some thrillers and fantasy. Back to the old books. The piles are getting very tall. Didn't look like we had this many when I started. Some Nicholas Sparks, some Ellen Hildenbrand, some Danielle Steele novels in there. The most popular books were some books by some guy named Lewis. They were cowboy books. That one's cover was completely fallen off and just hanging together with tape. That one had pages missing. Then after I got all those books out, I started dusting because this thing was so freaking dusty. I have no clue how old these bookshelves are. They were probably donated to the facility, to be honest. Here I am finding a page with the cover completely off. That book was in tatters. On to the next little bookshelf. There's a bunch of these large print books that have 2 books in one. Some of our residents really like these, so I was going through and cleaning them all, making sure they were clean. Did find a couple that needed repairs. That one's back cover was completely off. Found a random bookmark in one. pile's getting taller than the camera. Move this over real quick. Almost done. And then I found all these random ass books over by the TV. I've never heard of this author. I've never heard of these books. They're all old. And then I kept dusting. That's a tiny little bookshelf. And then I moved all those Bibles over to the other Bible bookcase. And I started organizing and putting books away. Tried to go from the bottom to the top, romance on the bottom, and like thrillers and mysteries up on the top. They love the thrillers and mysteries. They love them. I was also trying to go by size. There was like random tall books and then a ton of short ones, so I was trying to go by size. Here's where the thrillers start. I was also trying to put some of the more popular authors like front and center, and some of the more obscure titles off to the sides. Also, these shelves were very short, so I couldn't put the really tall books in there. A lot of the really tall books had to go on the little bookcase. And then on this little bookshelf, I started out with these large print books. There was a ton of them. They each have 2 books in one, and they're very popular. So I wanted the residents to be able to see them at eye level if they wheeled over to them in their wheelchairs. There's one resident I had in mind that loves these, and I know that she's going to wheel over there and look for them, so I didn't want them too low to the ground like they were previously. I kind of wanted them up like in her eye level. So nonfiction on the bottom, random romances and stuff in the middle that were too tall to go over on the other shelf. There's also several Christmas books, so I put those all on the bottom and kind of put one out in the front towards the end to like make it pretty. And then some random stragglers. There's a lot of books I needed to repair, so I'm looking through all of those, putting them in a pile. There's some random like Bibles and stuff I put with the other books. There were some random notebooks in there that I moved. And then I stole the shelf from maintenance. Don't tell on me. I stole that from a maintenance closet because there wasn't enough room, and I had all these books I needed to put away and I didn't have the space. It's not the prettiest, but we're going off donations here, so we gotta do what we gotta do. That being said, please donate to your local nursing homes. And here's the finished product. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, and then all these books that needed fixing, I took them home. And thank you to the Laser Librarian and the Contoured Librarian and the Snarky Librarian on TikTok for showing me how to do this. A lot of them, the spines were deteriorating and the pages were all wonky. That one page was just so ruined at the edges. Gave it a little trim, a little haircut. But a lot of these, the covers were falling off, literally. Some of them just had like 1 or 2 pages missing. Some of them are in rough shape. Started off on this one. So I had already pre-glued all of these before I recorded. So I already recorded me page tipping the pages back in and gluing the covers back on. Then I got this spine tape, and here I am just putting the spine tape on the spines to kind of put them back together and reinforce them for more reading. I'm using the bookend trick that the laser librarian uses to put the books on. I made them all too long, I had to trim them. And then I got hinge tape. Most people, like on TikTok, their hinge tape is white. I just got this for cheap off Amazon, and it's clear, but it worked. So I was putting hinge tape on the insides of the covers to reinforce them, because like I said, some of these covers were literally falling off. And I got my little dish scraper out of the kitchen to scrape these back on. Good as new. That one's cover was completely missing along with the first pages, and I fixed it. Here we go with more hinge tape. Literally, I put hinge tape and spine tape on all of these because I'm like, they just need all the help they can get. Some of them were like crusty, dusty, falling apart. Like the spines were barely hanging on. The glue was dried and flaky off. Look at that. The pages are all turning brown. It's disgusting. But they love these books. These Louis L'Amour books. They freaking love them, and I don't know why. I've never read one of his books, but he was apparently a very popular author back in the day. A lot of cowboy books. This book, the front spine was a little wobbly, or the front cover was a little wobbly. You can see at the bottom, I didn't quite glue it good enough down there, so it definitely needed tape. I keep making these too long. I don't know what the secret is to not making them too long. I'm also doing this. When I got home from work one morning, I glued them all and then left them to dry. And then this is me like woken up fresh from sleeping all day and then going to run errands and then coming home and proceeding to do this. I was very tired in this video, but this was so fun, honestly. I love fixing books. Also, this took me like an hour. You can see how many episodes of The Big Bang Theory I go through in the background. This one, I didn't quite get enough glue in there. Some of the pages were still falling apart, so I just reinforced it with some more glue. It's Eileen's Tacky Glue. It's safe for books and it's very cheap. You can get it on Amazon. It works very well, and it dries pretty quick. I don't know how long that book's going to stay together, to be honest, but I did the best I could. It'll at least get a few more reads out of it. The spines, like the old glue, is just dry and falling apart, so that's the problem. The bottoms weren't quite glued right. I'm going to fix those, hoping they'd stay together. To be honest, some of these books probably like needed just thrown away and got new copies, but can't nobody afford that, okay? I did throw one away because it was way too far gone, and I reordered a copy of it on Amazon. But those Louis L'Amour books are expensive on Amazon, and a used copy was like $9. So there's no way I was replacing all of these with my own budget. I was just doing what I could to save them. That one I put a little glue down on the bottom because there was literally no cover. The cover was gone. And there was only a cover on the top half, or there was only like a spine on the top half, so I added a little more glue and then added more tape. You can see the inside of that cover is brown. It has seen some horrors. I was shrugging my little shoulders because I didn't know if this was going to work, but it's good enough. It ended up being fine. It'll get a few more reads out of it. That one, the spine looked terrible. That one I tried to glue back on, and you can literally still see right through it. It's rough. Definitely needed some tape. That one also had a crinkled edge that was about to rip off, and I thought, you know what? We'll just put some tape on that too. Tape everything. They'll read the covers right off from, literally. Some of these, they've read the covers right off them. I don't think they would have cared about a little corner, but I tried to save it. These books were old. They had that little envelope in the middle where you could like buy things, or I don't even know what they're for, honestly. It was like a little envelope where you could buy something or order something. That's how old these books are. There's advertisements in the books. A lot of them had advertisements in the back of the books as well. You can see that one's got a bike. This one, they've really read the cover right off. The front page is like stuck to the front cover, and I didn't even try to take it apart to figure out why. I don't know what's going on in between those pages, and I don't want to know. It was stuck, and I left it stuck. I reinforced it with glue and tape. I don't know. I don't want to know what that book has seen in its life. You can barely read the name on the spine. It's falling apart. Terrible. That was another one I almost considered just throwing away, but I'm like, you know what? We'll try to save it. A lot of these large print books just had some pages falling out. They were actually in decent shape. I just cleaned them, did some page chipping to put the pages back in. The spines were a little bit like the back and front book covers were a little wobbly and weak, so I just kind of reinforced them with some tape and a little bit of glue to make sure that they didn't fall off. That was more preventative than anything. One of them had a back cover that had been pulled off, so the rest of them I just preventatively put tape and glue on. I should have cleaned this book because that tape got stuck to the front cover when I cut it, so I pulled it up and then put it on the spine, and I don't know what was on that cover. It looked clean at the time, but apparently not, because there was some gunk that stuck to the tape. So when I put it on the spine, it looked like air bubbles or something.